Robertson, and thank you for joining us today for the Midwest MVP podcast. This is the first in our series on empty seats. Today, I'm pleased to have Manny Lopez, who will be discussing his thoughts on declining ticket sales and empty seats at professional sporting events. This is certainly an important topic, so let's get right to it. It has been a rising issue that I have noticed for the past 5 years or so. Plenty of empty spots at sporting events like the NFL and NBA. These two are hands down the most popular sports in the United States as of now. Football and basketball has always been number one viewed sports in the United States. So why is no one going to the games anymore? Whose fault is it? Is it an issue with the teams? Is there something wrong with the marketing? Are the fans at any fault here? We will discuss all that and much more on this edition of Midwest MVP. Now joining us is Manny Lopez, an amateur hockey player and student in broadcasting journalism classes here at College of DuPage. Manny, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ian. Glad to be here.
Now let me ask you something, Manny. When watching an NFL, NHL, or NBA game, have you noticed the uprising in empty seats that have been plaguing the professional sports for the past decade or so?
Yeah, I mean, Ian, it's definitely sad whenever you're watching a game and the camera pans over and you're taking a look at the seats and you see more empty seats than you do see people in them. It's definitely disheartening for sure.
Right. So let's just remember that not every sports team has this issue. The Boston Red Sox and Chicago Cubs constantly sell out every week for the MLB. The Broncos and Packers, they sell out constantly as well. So do you think that the talent of some of these teams could possibly be one of the benefactors in the decline of ticket sales?
I don't think it's necessarily the talent or lack thereof. I think that, obviously being a longtime Chicago Cubs and Chicago Blackhawks fan, there was a time where those teams weren't doing so well, and it still brought a lot of people to the stadium. So I don't really feel like it's the talent that's basically responsible for the decline in ticket sales. I think a lot of it goes down to just the cost, the overall cost to take someone to the game, whether it be your significant other, or your family. I mean, that's rising these days, and it could get very expensive very quick. You factor in food, parking,
your
tickets.
$9.75 beer.
Easily. I mean, it's insane. So, I mean, I think a lot of it doesn't necessarily have to do with the talent or lack thereof. I think a lot of it, why the tickets are declining in sales is not necessarily because of the lack of talent. I think it's just because of the lack of marketing and community outreach.
Which we will get into in a little bit. Just hold on one second. So now we're going to get into could the reason behind declining ticket sales be expensive tickets? Because it costs the average family. I did a little research on this. It costs the average family of four over $600 to go to a Chicago Bears game. So, what's your thought on? Do you think that these high ticket prices could be the cause of people not even wanting to go to these games? It's just a big turnoff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we're living in a society where things are becoming more expensive, but our salaries aren't necessarily able to support that, right? So I feel like the economy is definitely in a very interesting situation right now where, and I don't know, I don't have a family, of my own, but I know that, $600 for one game, I wouldn't take my family to go see a Bears game for $600.
Yeah, and that's just covering the game. And you're already paying so much on taxes. You're buying, sodas and food for all the family. That's that's over $50 when you're buying everyone a hot dog, popcorn, and soda for your family. And then that doesn't count your wife, your kids. They want to get something at the store. They want to get a jersey to remember it by, and there you're racking up well over maybe $1,500 just on one day. And and that's just for professional sports. And you go to a arena football game, $15 for a ticket.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's funny that you bring that up, right? So I feel like teams have to be profitable, right? So teams need to be in the green, right? So if the team's doing a great job as far as in their standings, in theory, they're going to charge a little bit more, right? I
Right.
get that. That's basic marketing. That's basic business, right? But, what's sad to me is, for example, is like I feel like a lot of these teams don't necessarily have a fan loyalty program. Like I feel like if a team, that's maybe struggling in ticket sales and things like that nature, did some community outreach and really took care of their longtime diehard fans, the ones that have been around since the beginning, right?
Right.
If they can create some sort of program, whether it be, I'd pay $100 for a year to get, a 25, 30% off ticket sales.
Right.
Something like that I would do all the time,
Yeah.
right? And going back to your early question with, the Bears and going to the Bears game for $600, and after it's all said and done, a jersey, a program, memorabilia, you're at $1,000+ for the day.
Right.
I mean, can you really put a price tag on memories? I mean,
It's very true. I mean, if when you're going to one of these games, you're knowing that you're going to be spending a lot of money. So you just got to be prepared, I guess.
yeah, but then again, also not only the prepared, but could you imagine if a team did actually have a loyalty program?
I think that would work out a lot. Like it would save people money
Yeah, and I
in the
mean,
long run, and I feel like the fans would feel like they're more cared about by the team then. They have more of a connection with them, I feel like.
yeah, I mean, I feel like right now, just as a sports fan in general, right? I feel like anytime I were to go to like a hockey game or a baseball game or a basketball game or a football game, I feel as I walk into those stadiums, I feel as if I'm being gouged of my money,
Right.
right? Like I no longer feel that sense of excitement where, hey, I'm part of the team, I'm part of the fans and the fanatics, and I don't feel that
You just
anymore.
feel like you're kind of being robbed when you're buying all your food and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And then a lot of that, especially when you're waiting in long lines, whether it be for food or the bathroom and things like that, it definitely makes you second guess yourself of why did you go to the game,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
I stay at home and watch it?
Why did I spend this $150, for nosebleed seats, and when I could have just gotten a better experience at home
Yeah.
on TV? But again, we'll get into that in a little bit. But right now, we're having a great discussion going on right now, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us. Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com, then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico.
Hello and welcome back to Midwest MVP. We are following our discussion with Manny Lopez on the problem with professional sports teams and declining ticket sales. Manny, again, thank you for joining us.
And thanks for having me in. It's a pleasure.
So let's get into the marketing side. Do you think there could be an issue with some of the marketing with some teams going on? I know you were going to discuss that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that, being a marketing major myself, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement for a lot of these sports teams. I feel like, as we had mentioned earlier, if there was some sort of loyalty program for those fans that have been fans, since they were born or, since their first game when they were a kid, I think that there's a lot of potential for building not only just a generational fan base, but also a multi-generational fan base because, you being in your 20s, me being in my 30s, assuming we both end up with families later on down the line, if there's a sports team that's out there, for example, the Blackhawks, i.e. the Cubs, right?
Right.
Where they did take care of, you know, myself as a longtime diehard fan, but then they also offered a program where, you know, for X amount of dollars a year, you know, you get to get a certain percentage off of, you know, a family rate, for example.
Right, exactly.
I would be more willing to spend my money with that particular team, and I'd be more open to going to see the games live.
Right, exactly. Like you were kind of saying earlier with the, like, you know, when you were born with it, like the Chicago Cubs, they're doing this program like when you're born, like your parents can sign you up right before you're born, and just like you're a Cubs fan for life. You get season ticket opportunities, you can meet players, so you're basically like part of the team right when you're born, and I
That's
think,
amazing.
yeah, it's getting people much closer, and it's like, you know, it feels like, you know, like the Cubs are part of your family, sort of, and you get taken care of. You know, you get season ticket opportunities, and yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And see, like stuff like that is exactly what I'm referring to. So I can remember taking my girlfriend to her first Cubs game. And this was a couple of years back. This is before they won the World Series, right? They were still not doing very well. But,
Right.
but being a Cubs fan, I wanted to share my Cubs experience with my current girlfriend at the time. And I know that when I did take her to the game, they do offer these things called like first game certificates or something like that, where you go into the pro shop and you tell them it's your first Cubs game, and then they print off a nice little.
I did that at my first Sox game.
But you know what I mean? Like stuff like that's
Yeah.
cool. Like stuff like that is you know, it's memorable.
I got a little button that I had on. Oh yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But see, it's so funny though, because at the end of the day, how much did that button cost the team?
Right.
Pennies, cents over the dollar.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That piece of paper, that certification. Hey, my first Cubs game. How much did that cost to make realistically?
Yeah.
$1
Yeah,
maybe.
$2 maybe.
So you're telling me between the certificate and the button, which is maybe $3 overhead, you know, more teams can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
exactly. Like, and that was for free, right?
yeah, it's for free. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and I feel like some teams they would charge for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sad too. You know, but the fact that it was free. I mean, now granted, my girlfriend and I are no longer together, but you know, I still keep in touch with her, and you know, she still has the certificate, right?
Right.
She still talks about the Cubs.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a memory that she gets to hold on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that goes back to, you know, can you really put a price on memories? I mean, yes and no, maybe, right? If it's a kid and, you know, they're way too young and they're not going to remember it, well, then hold off a couple of years
Right.
before you spend the $800, $1,500.
Exactly.
Right? And so with marketing, though, going back to the marketing question, I feel like there's definitely a big opportunity for sports, all sports, soccer, NASCAR, hockey, baseball, basketball, football,
Right.
lacrosse. There's a big opportunity to really give back to the fan base. And unfortunately, we live in a society where it's all about profit. It's all about, you know, the big payday, the green.
Right. Exactly.
And a lot of times, fans are often swept under the rug.
Like they're not appreciated as much by the teams, but I feel like, you know, like the Cubs, like you can go and meet some of them, like you can sign up for that. Like there's so many opportunities where like you can go and meet players. I feel like on like, you know, like the Cubs team, or like even like, you know, NASCAR drivers. Like you can go and talk to them, take some pictures with them, get their autograph like minutes before they step into their race car and go 500 miles. So what I think they're doing over there at NASCAR is really smart, but they are also experiencing a huge decline in ticket sales at their live events. So I think they're going the right way, but they're just still not getting the sales that they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think a lot of that is just because NASCAR is 100% outside and not very many people want to go outside?
I feel like that, and like, well, if you look back in like the 80s and 90s and even like early and mid 2000s for NASCAR races, they were packed. There were packed seats everywhere, and like I'm gonna be showing this in one of my videos I'm gonna be doing, but like, the seats are so empty nowadays, and it's just so much has changed. People are not finding it like as fun or something. Like some of their favorite drivers are falling out, like Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart. They all retired, and they had huge fan bases.
Yep.
And
Yep.
some people they're like, oh, I don't want to follow any of these young kids, so they just drop out.
And that's sad though too. But see, and then that's another opportunity for that, the marketing teams to go out and reach out, to those older fans. Oh, you were a fan of the original, Dale Earnhardt? Show us a ticket stub of when you went and saw him race and come join the NASCAR Lifetime Fan Club or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you get like garage passes for life or something, something like that.
Free headphones for an event or something like that.
Like even like
headsets.
Monster, that's the big sponsor of NASCAR right now. Like you can do like free Monster gear or something.
Shit, I'll take a free drink.
Yeah, same.
Something to get me through the day.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But it's so funny because again, it's little stuff like that. Like these companies and these teams, they don't realize how just something so minuscule can mean so much to a fan.
Right. Like going to Cubs games. Like I feel like once a month they do the bobblehead giveaway. I love that. I always try to go out of my way to find those tickets for the bobblehead giveaway. And Blackhawks, I could probably have 3 or 4 bobbleheads from Blackhawks games.
Yeah.
Like it's just that free stuff that you get. It just, like, oh, I'm gonna go to another kid. They might be giving away something tonight. Like that.
Yeah.
That's something to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, but here's what makes me sad, and this is a very specific memory for me. It was after the 2013 win for the Chicago Blackhawks Stanley Cup win.
Right.
And it was the 13-14 season, right?
Right.
So they weren't doing so well, right?
Yeah, it was a slow.
It was
that
a slow
start.
yeah, it was a slow start to the season, but they were giving away replica rings.
Oh, I remember when they did that.
And they were free to anybody who, I think it was like the first 1,000 fans or something like that, or 10,000 fans.
Yeah,
it was
they usually
free.
do first 10,000
Yeah.
5,000 fans or something.
But whatever it was free.
Right.
And I had tickets to the game, and unfortunately I couldn't make it, and whatever. I think I ended up selling them or giving them away, whatever the case may be. I
Right.
couldn't get to the game.
Exactly. Right.
But I had asked my friend, hey, can you get me the ring? That's all I really wanted was just the replica ring.
Right.
I think my buddy ended up not getting there within the first 10,000, so he didn't get the rings, and I was kind of bummed. But then at the same time, whatever. I didn't go to the game.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What are you gonna do?
So then, as a fan, though, I did want the replica ring, right? So I was looking, okay, it's a free ring. Somebody's got to be selling it, right?
Over $100.
Over $100 on Craigslist, eBay, $200, $1,000 for a fake free ring.
Yeah. And it was $5 to make too.
Yeah, and you know what's sad though is it's those fans that go to the games, grab the bobbleheads, grab the free stuff, and then try to sell it on the internet for triple, quadruple the price that just.
Right. Like I went to a Cubs game this summer, and they were doing. It was like the Grateful Dead night or whatever.
Yeah, the hats.
They were doing the hats, and a few of my buddies, they're big Grateful Dead fans. They like watching baseball too, and my one buddy, you had to get a specific ticket to get the hat. And my one buddy, I gave him the link, and he didn't follow the link, and he did not get the ticket to get his hat. And so he still wanted the hat because he was a big Dead fan. So look on eBay. I don't know. People
Like
had
what,
it priced for
$55?
$95
Yeah,
for a hat. I'm like, this is just like, a hat that took them like $15 to make.
Yeah, that they gave away for free.
Yeah, exactly. And you get it for free, and you're trying to make $90 off of it. Like right when I walked out of the line, like there was some guy who wanted to buy it for like $30. I was like, no, like it's just something to remember that game
Yeah,
by.
it's
Like,
true.
Yeah.
Well, then now you can say I was at Dead Night
Yeah,
Wrigley Field.
exactly.
I've got the hat to prove it.
I went to the Javi Baez bobblehead giveaway day. Like it was swamped with people. Like I had to like swim through people to get in line, and they were almost out of it when I was in line, and like it was only like 10 minutes after they opened it.
It's crazy.
So yeah, I guess I just went off topic a little bit, but
No. But I mean, basically what it boils down to, though, is, there are marketing opportunities. A lot of teams are taking advantage of that marketing opportunity, right? With the giveaways and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's room and opportunity for more.
Exactly.
You know, it's just a matter of, well, how much are you willing to take away from your profit
Exactly.
to please the fans? So, yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, I like where we went with that. So there's one more factor I'd like to point out before the end of the show. Do you think that television could be one of the main problems with declining ticket sales? You know, with all the advancements in modern technology, television, we can get any sports game we want, any team from over 50 different angles, 50 different cameras. Like, it gets you so much closer to the action, like you're actually there. Do you think that this could somehow correlate with declining ticket sales?
I mean, of course, it could have a little bit of effect, right? Obviously, with the comforts of being in front of your own TV at home, access to your own kitchen, access to your own bathroom.
Access on your phone?
Yeah. And again, you could do replays on your phone too as well. You could follow along statistically as well. Yeah, of course, I would have to, I'd say it plays a little bit into the decline of ticket sales, but I would have to say that the typical fan who's going to go to the stadium versus the fan who watches on TV, there's a very distinct indication of personality types. Right? There's definitely that one fan who has to be in the action, wants to see it live, wants to go to the stadium to experience not just the teams playing, but also the overall atmosphere of the environment, right? Whereas the one who's staying at home every single weekend, they're probably not in it really more or less for the experience. They're in it, you know, for the team. They're in it for the enjoyment, the comfort of their own home. I would have to say that realistically, if we're talking decline ticket sales, I'd have to say we'd probably want to look a little bit more closer to the cost.
Right.
Right? Like, how much are your tickets costing, you know, your fans? And then another subtopic to that would be, are your tickets being scalped? Right? Are your tickets being resold by a third-party vendor? Because I could tell you that from my own personal experience, one thing that's kind of disheartening is, as somebody who does like to go to these stadiums, does like to support the team and get the overall experience, if I'm buying a ticket at retail price, I am 100% committed and okay with that.
Right.
But if I'm buying a ticket that has been resold and is now triple, quadruple the cost of retail, now that's bugging me.
Right.
Right, now that leaves a little bit of a sour taste, right?
Because you're not paying for the team anymore. You're paying really just for this person's profit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, you know, definitely with TV, it affects the ticket sales a little bit, but in reality, I think it helps the teams overall. It definitely increases the fan base, right? Like, let's say you have a kid, you have a newborn, or maybe you have a girlfriend who maybe you want to get them interested in the sport, but you're not ready to drop that $500-600 to take them to a game yet.
Right.
You know, the TV is definitely a great option.
Right, exactly.
But I feel like, you know, in order to really hit the nail on the head as far as, you know, the declining ticket sales, I think a lot of that has to be just, you know, what are we charging these fans to be here?
Right. So, yeah, well, thank you very much. I think, like, I'm glad we got to get your one opinion, like, what it actually is. Like, I totally agree with you. Ticket prices, absolutely crazy. Cubs, like, after they won the World Series, they really skyrocketed. I remember bleacher seats, you could get them for $15, $20. Now, bleacher seats can be anywhere from $70 to $100. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely insane. If you want more fans, lower your ticket prices, because I can't even go to any more Blackhawks games anymore because I'm paying $120 per person for not even that good of a seat.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's sad.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. But could you imagine, just a quick side note though, if, let's say the team has just dedicated one specific section of their stadium, one section, and
Like
that
a
is
rowdy section or something?
not necessarily a rowdy section. Like that's like their, call it like a legacy. Like, oh, that's the legacy section, or that's like the diehard section.
Right.
You know, whether they're rowdy or not, that's
They've just been like, they're the most loyal fans like the team could find.
yeah. Well, not yeah, but I mean, for example, too, like teams are all about profit, right? Like your team wins the championship. Of course, you're probably going to charge an increase the following year, right? But let's just say for just one minute, let's just imagine in every single stadium all across the United States, there's one section that those ticket prices are locked in to diehard fans that know that if that diehard fan's not able to make that game due to family event, life event, things of that nature, those tickets are either given away or refunded back to the sense to where you're not necessarily losing anything, the teams aren't necessarily losing anything, but that you're also giving somebody else an opportunity to come in at a much cheaper price to see the game.
Right.
Will it ever happen? Probably not. But I'd like to imagine that it would be a great world that we could live in if, teams were, I can pull out my wallet and I can show, hey, I've been a fan of the Blackhawks since 1990.
Right. Like you got a, like a membership card, sort of.
If you will,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Manny. Thank you for adding your opinion to the table today. I'd like to thank my guest, Manny Lopez, for taking the time to be on our show today. I'm happy you could listen in for today's Midwest MVP podcast. Tune in next time when we discuss the MLB offseason with Patrick Cotto. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.